They're two happy women bringing you inspiring stories, politics, pop culture, and lifestyle hacks, all with an eye to making our communities and our country a better place to live. It's the Happy Women Podcast with your hosts, Jen Horn and Katie Gorka.
Elon's gone, but the DOGE legacy lives on. Welcome to another episode of the Happy Women Podcast. Sounds a little different today. You know, Katie has left me behind. She has gone off to Europe, I believe, is where she is right now. So you guys are stuck with just me. I'm Jennifer Horn. Happy to have you along. And gosh, lots of news unfolding. And as we look back at the first, what are we at now? 130, 140 days of President Trump. I think we all reflect on just what has gone right and what has gone wrong, what needs improving, what has been taken care of right away. I think automatically off the bat, we've seen President Trump completely clean up the border, and he did it in about 3 seconds flat. And of course, this comes after the many lies that were told to us about from Joe Biden and his administration that the only way to clean up the border would be through an act of Congress. Well, it turns out not so much. We didn't need an act of Congress to get the border actually in the place that it needed to be. So President Trump cleaning up that border, I think, quite nicely. He's also done some great things with the economy. As much as people got a little squeamish during the beginning phases of the tariffs, what has happened since is inflation that's cooling at the lowest level in 4 years, gas prices that have come down almost everywhere except in my state of California. But across the nation, people are paying less at the gas pump. You also have more American jobs that are being created. Our trade deficit is at the lowest levels it's been at in decades. And we're seeing some real activity when it comes to heating up this economy. The big, beautiful bill has passed Congress. And while it's not hugely perfect for many of us who are fiscal conservatives, what it does do is guarantee those Trump tax cuts. And even though there's a lot of fear mongering, that is helping the economy as well. It's helping the markets. You're seeing that all reflected in the work that Trump has done. He's also, and I think really we got to give him credit for this, doing what most Republicans haven't been able to do. And that is have meaningful meetings for peace in the Middle East. He was completely successful with that in 2016. Joe Biden set us back with his bad policy on Israel, with allowing the attack by Hamas to happen in 2023. That area of the world has been neglected by foreign policy in our country. And you had President Trump go to the Middle East just a few weeks ago and really accomplish more in 3 days than the Biden administration had done in forever. And how did he do this? Well, he used what's not usual for conservatives. Typically, the Republican Party of old would march into a region and say, we need to have freedom. This is how it has to be. You must be a democracy and follow along with us. Now, that's great. And in a perfect world and a utopia, that's exactly what we should be doing in America. Instead, sadly, it's not a perfect world. It's not utopia. We need to lead by example and show why our system is the greatest on the planet, which I think President Trump is acutely aware of. But when you go to meet with these countries that maybe don't have the same ideals that we do, you meet them in what matters to them, and that's success. And so I think one of the biggest accomplishments President Trump has seen so far is his ability to say, look, we may not agree on ideology. We may not agree on how we run our country or religious freedom or those sorts of things, but we can get peace through strength and peace through success with deals that really matter. You can bring in money and revenue by having the United States as a partner, and through that, your guarantee is peace. So some big wins for the Trump administration, but probably one of my favorites is the DOGE effort. I think Elon Musk deserves a ton of credit for what he has done, what he's sacrificed to go to work for the government, to go to work for the American people. And just this last week, we saw President Trump pay respect to Elon Musk, whose temporary employment with the government, his 130-day period, came to an end last Friday. Elon Musk did a press conference with President Trump to talk about some of the successes. But of course, before you can get there, you have to realize how the left wants to take him apart. They want to personally destroy him for helping President Trump. He's literally enemy number 2, right behind Donald Trump. That's where Elon Musk is on kind of the totem pole of enemies of the left. all for wanting to save money, all for wanting to weed out corruption, and all for wanting to end the gravy train of these folks in Congress and the news media through USAID. Everybody with their hand out seems really disappointed by what Elon Musk's done. Now, the rest of us, we love it. So let's spend some time celebrating some of the successes of DOGE under Elon Musk's leadership. And we'll start with the press conference he had next to President Trump in the Oval Office. And of course, those hits from the woke media continue. The New York Times celebrating the end of Elon Musk's run as his temporary government employee with a huge hit piece with some big accusations. Take a listen.
The president mentioned that you had to deal with all the slings and arrows during your time at DOGE. There's this.
Well, some of the people, some of the media organizations in this room were the slingers.
Well, so there is a New York Times report today that accuses you of blurring the line between.
Is the New York Times, is that the same publication that got a Pulitzer Prize for false reporting on the Russiagate? Is it the same organization?
I got to check my Pulitzer.
I think it is. It is. I think the judge just ruled against New York Times for their lies about the Russiagate hoax, and that they might have to give back that Pulitzer Prize. That New York Times. Let's move on.
Okay, then next question. Trump. I got one for President Trump. So President Trump.
All right, so you can see there, that was Peter Doocy, friendly media from Fox News, asking Elon Musk about this hit piece that was put out by the New York Times. The New York Times, if you missed it, detailed what it said was Musk's consumption of ketamine that went well beyond occasional uses, and his alleged use of ecstasy and psychedelic mushrooms along the campaign trail particularly. So the way they detailed this story, they said that he was partying heavily, that he was using drugs along the campaign trail, and that there were people around him who were reporting on all of this. Now, Elon Musk, I think, really did a great job in deflecting, basically saying that this was the same publication, and he rightly so, that posted all of the Russia nonsense and won awards for publishing that nonsense, false stories, misinformation, fake news, still peddled by the New York Times. And Elon Musk tried to point this out, saying, look, this is the same publication, in denying these allegations. Whether Elon Musk is using drugs or not, this is just another attempt by the mainstream news media to try to take away from the legitimacy of what Elon Musk has just done and what he has accomplished. And what he's accomplished is immense. DOGE already is responsible in just the few 100 days that it's been in existence for giving back to each American $1,100. That's pretty incredible. Now, DOGE is not over. DOGE will continue. And you saw President Trump smiling with Elon's takedown of the New York Times. Obviously, that's not a favorite publication of President Trump. But President Trump vowed that the DOGE effort is going to carry on and still continue its work to cut all of the waste and fraud that happens within our government. Take a listen.
Many of the DOGE people, Elon, are staying behind, too, so they're not leaving. And Elon's really not leaving. He's going to be back and forth, I think. I have a feeling. It's his baby, and I think he's going to be doing a lot of things. But Elon's service to America has been without comparison in modern history. He's already running one of the most innovative car companies in the world. You look at his factories and compare them with some of the old factories we have, and it's a big difference. And the most successful space company, and I guess in history you would have to say the largest free speech platform on the internet, etc. Yet Elon willingly, with all of the success, he willingly accepted the outrageous abuse and slander and lies and attacks because he does love our country. I know that very much. He loves our country. He comes from another country, a country that's going through trials and tribulations, I would say. But he's all about the USA, and Americans owe him a great debt of gratitude. So I just want to thank Elon for his time as a special government employee. Can you imagine? They call him an employee, but it's a special government employee, and for coming and helping us. And he really has changed the mindset of a lot of people. A lot of people thought, maybe we'll cut 1% or 2% or 3%. Then they said, wow, we can cut a lot more than that. And we're going to do it very surgically. We're going to continue on the march. We're making America great again. When I was in Saudi Arabia, and we were in, as you know, 3 really great countries, predominantly the 3. Qatar was great, UAE was great, Saudi Arabia, incredible. Such an incredible experience to be in those 3 countries. But the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia and
All right, so we're going to come back and we'll talk more about those investments in a second as President Trump's getting ready to outline them. But what a day. President Trump saying that Elon Musk would be awarded with the keys to the White House. That's pretty spectacular. That's a good way to go out. President Trump giving a lot of accolades to Elon Musk for his work, not only trying to weed out the waste and the fraud and the corruption and the abuse, but also to modernize some of the government systems that truly have not been touched in 50 years. Longer than Elon Musk has been alive. Now, when Elon was in the Oval Office, he stood there. You may have noticed if you're watching our video stream, he's got a little bit of a black eye. And apparently it's because he's been hanging out with his 5-year-old son. He's with him all the time. X is always around him in the White House, and really pretty much anywhere Elon is, that's where X is. And he gave him a black eye. I guess they were roughhousing. But you heard President Trump talk about the slings and arrows that Elon has had to endure. Elon was a darling of the left. We all know our liberal friends who had their Tesla, who were so excited to get their Tesla, were so excited by Elon Musk and his technology and his incredible mind. They were supportive of him until Trump, until he dare endorse President Trump, until he let him back on Twitter, until he cracked down on the limitations of free speech under the previous regime at Twitter. And then when he came into the government and started making real cuts the way a business would have to do if they were in charge, if they were trying to stay profitable and above water. And the left absolutely lost their mind. Elon Musk, of course, couldn't be doing this because he believes it's the right thing to do. He couldn't be doing it because he's seen the fraud himself or the waste or the corruption himself. No, now the latest story is that he's on drugs. This is how they downplay the work that Elon has done. I think it's sad. I think it's a shame. This is someone who now has to be surrounded by 20 armed guards to go places. He's got a gazillion kids that all need protection. Why? Because he's now the target, because he dared stand next to Donald Trump, because he supported him, and because he threatened the lifestyle of the haves in this country through his cuts to the government. I think he's done so well, and I am so proud of what Elon has accomplished. I hope he stays around in the government. I hope he stays and keeps an eye on DOGE, which, again, President Trump said will continue. His leadership will be felt, but I hope he stays involved. Our movement needs Elon, needs his passion, needs his support financially and through his platforms. And it's just a shame that he gets taken apart in the press and in the media for wanting to do the right thing. He won me over when he did, and we talked about this on the podcast before, when he did a speech about SpaceX and about going to Mars and populating Mars. He is really, truly one of our modern day explorers, and he's smart enough to make these things happen in the most brilliant and simple ways. So I say thank you to Elon Musk for giving us his time and for suffering what he did in just those first, 4 or 5 months of President Trump's administration. All right, here's a little more from the Oval Office. President Trump celebrating some of the investments coming into the country. The market's feeling this, by the way, a sense of optimism, at least throughout the markets and with economists. Take a listen.
Let's tell you, the leaders, the great leaders of the other 2 that we just mentioned, they all said the same thing, that the United States is the hottest country right now anywhere in the world. And 6 months ago, we thought it was dead. It was like a dead country. And it would have been a dead country if we didn't have the right result on November 5th. There would have been a horrible, horrible situation was going on with the borders, with transgender for everyone, men playing in women's sports, and so much more. But they were saying the hottest country anywhere in the world. And then I played that little clip because I was one person who's respected. But there were 2 people, because Joe was in that one too. Joe's a good man. But that was one group of people saying something about the success of what we've done over the last 4 months. They cannot believe it. In the one case, they said they've never seen anything like it as long as they've been doing what they've been doing. They've been doing it for a long time. So I want to thank Elon for helping. And again, the United States right now is the hottest country anywhere in the world. There's no country as hot, and we're doing really well. We came, when I left, we had no wars, we had no problems. We defeated ISIS, we rebuilt our military, and we had no inflation. And when I came back, we had a lot of inflation. We had wars all over the place. We had the embarrassment in Afghanistan where we gave up billions and billions of dollars of military equipment, the most embarrassing moment in the history of our country, I believe. I believe that strongly. We have Russia with Ukraine. We had the attack on Israel in October, the horrible attack, October 7th. Horrible, horrible attack. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. And now we have something where we're really healing a lot of that. We stopped India and Pakistan from fighting. I believe that could have turned out into a nuclear disaster.
All right. So President Trump celebrating some of those victories that we just talked about. And if you listen to how he describes the last 4 years, you have to wonder what in the heck was going on. And we all have been talking about that lately. There have been books written, the latest, Original Sin by Alex Thompson. He was at Axios, and CNN's Jake Tapper, about just what happened, the decline of Joe Biden, and really now the legitimacy of anything that was done under his administration. There's an effort now to look back at all of the pardons, and there were over 2,000 of them, pardons that were made with an auto pen, legislation and executive orders that were signed not by Joe Biden and not by Joe Biden's hand, but by an auto pen. So who was using that auto pen? Can that be considered treasonous behavior? Well, President Trump talked a bit about all of those questions at the Oval Office on Friday.
Auto pens, to me, are used to sign letters to people, because we get, I think they said 20,000 letters a week. And you like to be able to, when somebody takes the time to write a letter, it's nice to sort of write back. And auto pens are meant for that. Auto pens are not meant to sign major proclamations or tax cuts or borders, anything having to do with the border, which is so important. And if it happened on my watch, I would be able to see it, because the next day or sooner I'd be reading about something that I knew nothing about, and who the hell signed this? So I almost never use the auto pen. In fact, yesterday I was signing about 81, I think it was 81 proclamations and statements to people that I think should be signed by us. I think when you write letters to foreign dignitaries or presidents or prime ministers, you should be signing those letters, not done with auto pens. I understand he signed almost everything with an auto pen. It's a very dangerous thing. It really means you're not president. Whoever operated the auto pen, and we think we know who that is, and it was actually more than one person, but that's not what the presidency is all about. I hardly use the
So you heard President Trump questioning the auto pen and who was actually operating the auto pen. I would take that a step further and ask, who was operating Joe Biden? That seems to be the question. The House Oversight Committee is looking at a couple of things. And right now there is an investigation into the people behind Joe Biden that were operating the auto pen, that were helping maybe make decisions for him. James Comer and the Oversight Committee have asked for and sent out subpoenas to get people in to testify about the state of mind of Joe Biden, about his medical conditions, about his medical diagnosis. All of a sudden, just suddenly, he was diagnosed with stage 4 prostate cancer that had spread, metastasized into his bones. This is not something that people just find out overnight, especially men of his age. And it's not like he was avoiding the doctor. Every single year, our president, whoever it is, goes to Walter Reed for a full physical. And every president before Joe Biden, and since, by the way, President Trump, every single one of them have had their PSA numbers published in their health report. But what was missing from Joe's for 4 years? His PSA levels. So there's so many questions. Did Joe Biden know he was sick? There's audio of him talking about being a sufferer of cancer, saying that he had cancer at a speech, saying he got it because of where he grew up in Maryland and in the Delaware area, saying that he knew he had cancer, but people thought it was just another moment of Joe Biden misspeaking. Maybe he was telling the truth, or maybe he didn't know. Maybe people around him concealed it from him. Whatever it was, this is information that the American people should have known. Not that people don't deal with prostate cancer every day, they absolutely do. But one of the side effects of treatment for this type of cancer, this hormone treatment, is a decline in your a diminishment in your capacities, in your faculties, essentially. That could explain what happened, could have explained some of the decline of Joe Biden, or maybe it was simply age, maybe it was something else. The fact is, we just don't know because we were not told the truth. And the people around Joe Biden, and it's reported in that Jake Tapper, Alex Thompson book, Original Sin, the people around Joe Biden thought that they should risk the democratic process because President Trump was too great a risk to democracy, to our country. So they took it upon themselves to take the choice out of the hands of the voters, out of the realm of how we do things through an election process in our country, and carry on themselves because of their hatred for Donald Trump. Jake Tapper is getting a lot of heat for this book, and he deserves every bit of it. Jake Tapper was part of the problem. He was complicit in the cover-up, like most of the mainstream news media, around Joe Biden and what he was capable of. We all saw it. We were told, we were gaslit, saying, oh, there's nothing to see here, even though the Easter Bunny was literally guiding Joe Biden across the field. He could barely walk through sand. He had to have notes everywhere he went. There were no just off-the-cuff remarks. Everything was planned out. Every video statement from Joe Biden was edited and edited and edited again. He carried around sheets with people's names on them. It was reported that he was forgetting people that he had known for a million years. He knew Kate Bedingfield, who was running his communications team, Jake Sullivan, his national security advisor, who had been with him as vice president through his campaign and then into his presidency, gone from his memory. So James Comer and the Oversight Committee are asking some big questions. They want to know who knew what. And I think we have to look no further than Jill Biden. I think Jill Biden was one of those people behind the auto pen, one of those people who had a lot of control over Joe Biden's life, and she did not want to give it up. It's the only reason I can think of that a wife would actually allow her husband to go through those trials that he went through publicly. Typically, a wife, a partner, would not want to make her husband look like Joe Biden looked for 4 years. You'd want to save them that embarrassment. So to me, you got to go to Jill and you got to see what she knew and when, and how much power was given to her as the person, the shadow behind Joe Biden. That'll be interesting to see. His doctor also, I don't know if you guys have heard this, but his doctor, Dr. O'Connor, I think his name is Kevin O'Connor, was subpoenaed also by James Comer and the Oversight Committee to try to give his testimony about why they were not giving a PSA test. Because again, their story is that they hadn't tested his PSA level since 2014. Very highly unlikely. Almost unbelievable, really. And so Dr. O'Connor was not just the White House physician after Ronnie Jackson left. No, Joe Biden actually brought in Dr. O'Connor because he was, guess what? A business associate of his and Hunter Biden's. So if you needed someone to cover up your health condition, probably best to go to a friend, go to a business partner, somebody who may look at you with favor, with friendship. And could that be a person that needs some investigating? I think so. That's what the House Oversight Committee thinks. Now, Joe Biden himself has been seen a few times over the last several weeks since his cancer diagnosis. And he was asked about this book, Original Sin, Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson. Again, disgraceful that they write the book to try to profit from it after they were complicit in the cover-up. But the book is out and it names names. It names the inner circle around Joe Biden, including Jill Biden and Hunter Biden, Ron Klain, his chief of staff, and several others who probably were the ones running the country while Joe Biden was taking a nap. So there's some valuable information in this book, but Joe Biden apparently isn't finding it amusing. This is his take on the book Original Sin and Jake Tapper.
And there's also been a lot of discussion recently about your mental and physical capabilities while you were in office.
You can see that. I'm mentally incompetent and I can't walk and I can beat the hell out of both of them.
He's going to beat the hell out of both of them. This is what I love about Joe Biden. It's actually almost something that you miss. God, I miss nothing about his presidency, but some of those weird things that he would say. Anytime Joe Biden felt outplayed, he always threatened violence. Happened with Trump every time in the debate. You want to go outside? He'd always want to invite him outside. That was a Joe Bidenism from way back. One of his coping mechanisms when you don't know what to say, You threaten him or you tell him a crazy story like the one he told about Corn Pop, the really bad dude. It's just what he does. Now, after he got done threatening violence against Tapomania, Jake Tapper, well, he commented on his prognosis.
You look good. You look good. Well, the prognosis is good. And, we're working on everything. It's moving along. So I feel good.
Have you decided on your treatment options?
Yeah, we have. And they're underway. And all the folks are very optimistic.
And so you've started treatment?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to share what exactly that entails?
Well, it's all a matter of taking a pill, one particular pill, and for the next 6 weeks and then another one. And the expectation is we're going to be able to beat this. It's not in any organ. It's my bones are strong. I hadn't penetrated, so I'm feeling good.
Sir,
I feel like everybody expects. Sorry.
I've done it all because I'm loyal. I do it every damn year from the very beginning. I never forget where I came from. That's why.
I feel like everybody didn't know what to expect of you today, and then you get here and you're speaking powerfully. You look good. You're confident. What do you say to all those people? Don't count you out.
Well, I say lots of luck in their senior year.
What has this been like for your family? Obviously, this is also an emotional time. This is the 10-year anniversary of your son, Bo's passing. You received this diagnosis just 2 weeks before that.
Well, we're all optimistic about the diagnosis. Matter of fact, one of the leading surgeons in the world is working with me. And he had diagnosed with the same exact thing 32 years ago. He's alive and well, doing very well. So we're optimistic. We're optimistic.
All right. So there's Joe. Really a couple of things to note. One, if, again, you're watching the video feed, I hope you got to see that creepy Joe got into the face of the young blonde female reporter. I mean, really in the face, like in that grill, very close, leaning in and violating all personal space standards that I think would be appropriate in a situation like that. So he's still in there, creepy Joe. That's number one. And number two, you heard the reporter say, gosh, you sound so confident and strong and you sound like you're going to be great and people shouldn't count you out yet. And his response was, lots of luck in your senior year. Anybody know? Anybody? Can you figure that out? It's amusing. You look so strong and confident and secure and you sound so well-spoken. And then he gives you something that makes no sense out of left field. So that's Joe Biden. We're still trying to figure out just what in the heck happened for 4 years. And guys, does this wake people up? Does this pull up the shades a little bit and say, this is what the left does? They lie to you. They're not telling you the truth. And then when you do dare question something that they put out, whether that's COVID or that's Joe Biden's mental acuity, that somehow you're the crazy one, you're the conspiracy theorist. I don't know. I think this is going to be very hard for the Democrats to overcome. And everybody that is on the plate, everybody that is waiting on the bench to run again in 2028 is going to have to explain why they did not call out the Joe Biden cover-up. Top of the list is Kamala Harris. There is no way she can carry that baggage with her without offering an explanation to the American people. But think about every other top Democrat. Pete Buttigieg was his Secretary of Transportation. He would have known. Cory Booker was in the Senate. He would have and should have known. Think about Javier Becerra. He was his Health and Human Services Director. He should have known. He should have seen it. Somebody should have been brave enough to say something, but they couldn't. Because the Democrat Party wanted them to lie to you because they're able to throw out all the rules of our country. They'll call Republicans Nazis. They'll call Trump all sorts of names. But the true party that has sacrificed democracy for their own personal gain at the expense of the American people, it's the Democrat Party. Pretty unbelievable. All right, let's wrap up today with a trip in the Wayback Machine. Misty, if you will, Michelle Obama, new podcaster, amazing. And of course, everybody loves her. First lady, every Democrat will tell you they want to see her run for president. Well, Michelle Obama is not doing her own podcast. She had a conversation actually with the wife of Eric Holder, another one of those Democrats who'd like to run in 2028. And we'll have to explain why he said nothing about Joe Biden. But Michelle Obama sat with Eric Holder's wife and made this comment about women and reproductive choice.
Because so many men have no idea about what women go through right? We haven't been researched. We haven't been considered. And it affects the way a lot of male lawmakers, a lot of male politicians, a lot of male religious leaders think about the issue of choice as if it's just about the fetus, the baby, but women's reproductive health is about our life. It's about this whole complicated reproductive system that does the least of what it does is produce life. It's a very important thing that it does. But you only produce life if the machine that's producing it, if you want to, whittle us down to a machine, if the machine is functioning in a healthy, streamlined kind of way. Mm-hmm. But there is no discussion or apparent connection between the two.
All right, first of all, does she go to the same school that Kamala Harris did, that Gavin Newsom goes to? What is it with all of these Democrats that just say a lot of words to answer the question? Clearly what she's trying to say is that women aren't just baby machines. That's what she would try to say if she were trying to economize her words. But instead, what she gives us is a weird way to view a woman. She's talking about us as machines. Now, I will agree with her that women's reproductive health is about more than just having babies. But where I definitely part ways with her is when she says the least of what the woman's body does is produce life. Guys, that's the best of a woman's body. The fact that we can produce life, the fact that our bodies are able to reproduce another living human being is absolutely the best part of what our bodies get to do. And that's, I think, the difference between the left and the right now, is that the left looks at the negative side. The left tries to paint women as a baby-making machine in an effort to try to sell their ideas about reproductive choice or about being pro-abortion. That's not where we are. I think the right looks at life as something sacred. And look, whether you are pro-choice or pro-life, I hate talking about the issue because I know it's so emotional for so many people and it is so very personal. One of the most personal and emotional issues that we talk about. I'm a pro-life person, but I know that there is a lot of gray area in this conversation. But to say that it shouldn't just be about the fetus or that the least of what our bodies do is produce life is really selling women short. We have the power to produce that life. Our bodies are beautifully created to do that. And when we talk about the fetus, we should be considering the life of a fetus, right? We should be considering that. We should be considering the whole person, the whole picture. The whole picture involves the woman's life, the woman's body, and the life that is growing inside of her. And all of those individuals, the fetus and the woman, deserve protecting and deserve love and deserve respect. It just boggles my mind that in an effort to try to stand up for women's reproductive rights, she would so disrespect femininity and the female body. All right. Thanks for joining us today. You can always pick up Katie's book. It is called Next Gen Marxism, available right now wherever you get your books. You can find me on social media. Look for me, Jennifer Horn Radio, on Facebook and Instagram. You can find me on X and on Truth at Jennifer Horn. We so appreciate those 5-star reviews. Thank you so much for sharing Happy Women with your friends. It really does help, and we appreciate each and every one of you listening and making us a part of your podcast routine. You can connect with us on all of our platforms, by the way, SalemPodcastNetwork.com/Happy Women. Thanks for joining us. It's another episode of the Happy Women Podcast.